Welcome back to Upgrade to General, a series to help you upgrade your amateur radio license to General Class. This episode is Sub-Element G2, Question Group C, and I'm your host, Ron Call, KE7CR. This question group is about CW operating procedures. Now, even though CW or Morse code is not required to get a ham radio license anymore, a lot of people still use it. In fact, it's my favorite mode, and you'll find that it has some great benefits, and it's just one of the best modes. The people that operate CW are just the finest people on the planet, I think. I hope you get into operating CW. I hope that this episode will help you develop habits to be a better CW operator. Let's jump into the first question. What should you do if a CW station sends, that's QRS? Let me display for those that are watching the video some abbreviations used in ham radio. Some of these are Q signals. Morse code takes a while to send, and so to abbreviate, to shorten things up, they took common sayings and used three-letter abbreviations to represent that. These Q signal abbreviations, they're all three letters. They begin with the letter Q. QRS means send slower. Perhaps someone's having trouble copying that fast. Maybe they're new at CW. Maybe they've been off the air for a while and are just coming back. Anyway, they're having trouble copying you, so could be band conditions are bad. So they just mean send slower. Next question. When a CW operator sends KN, or sometimes they run it together as, either way, it's KN, and what that means is they're listening only for a specific station or stations to respond. Usually they've already engaged in a conversation with another person and they only want that station to reply. If they send just K, that means any station. Usually they're calling CQ and they'll end it with K, meaning any station, please respond. So KN is one specific station or stations only, please respond. K means any station, please respond. Next question. What does, that's QRL with a question mark after it. QRL question means, are you busy, or is this frequency in use? You send that when you get on the air and you've tuned into a frequency, you can't hear anybody, but just to double check to make sure that frequency is clear and you're not going to be interfering with anybody, you send QRL, and if you hear no reply, then you go ahead and operate on that frequency if you want. The next question. What is the best speed to use when answering CQ in Morse code? The rule here is the fastest speed at which you're comfortable copying, but no faster than the CQ. So whoever sent the CQ, you can kind of assume that that's the speed they're comfortable operating at. So don't go any faster. You can go slower though, down to the speed that you're comfortable copying in. And if you send a reply slower than the person that sent CQ, they'll usually slow down to your speed. If they don't, you can send QRS asking them to slow down. So the answer, the fastest speed at which you're comfortable copying, but no faster than the CQ. The next question, what does the term zero beat mean in CW operation? Now, zero beat means you're going to match the transmit frequency to the frequency of the received signal. If the frequencies aren't lined up, if they don't match, then your signal will sound either higher pitched or lower pitched to the person on the other end. So you want to get that frequency matched. That's called zero beating, to match your transmit frequency to the frequency of a received signal. Next question. When sending CW, what does a letter C mean when added to the RST report? It means that their signal is chirpy or unstable signal. C for chirpy. Most modern transceivers now that people are using, they don't have a problem with that. Almost always the signal is clean, but if someone's using some homebrew equipment that they built themselves, sometimes you can get a little chirpy signal, so send them a C on the end of their RST report and lets them know that they've got some chirp, they may need to work on fixing that. Next question, what pro sign is sent to indicate the end of a formal message when using CW? It's this, AR, usually run together like that. AR signifies I'm done with my message. Technically, if you just end the transmission with your call sign, they'll know that you're done with the message, so AR is really not necessary. Nevertheless, you hear it a lot of times. And even more typically, say if you have somebody you're sending an exchange back and forth several times, and at the end of your last transmission you might want to send AR, say, hey, I'm done transmitting. And then they usually send their call sign after that and follow it with SK, meaning silent key, meaning I'm done transmitting, I'm going off the air. So AR means end of the formal message. Next question, what does the Q signal QSL mean? It means I've received and understood your message. It's an acknowledgement of, yes, I copied you, I received and understood you. Sometimes people will send just a series of R's, meaning Roger, 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 I got you. If the band conditions are bad, say staticky or lots of crowding during a contest or something, you'll often hear QSL. Sometimes you'll hear the RRR for Roger, 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 or often QSL, meaning yes, I heard you and copied you. That's also the term for postcards that are exchanged. After if someone's made a contact and wants to confirm that contact, they'll send a QSL card. You can send them in the mail. There's also electronic QSLs that verify that you made the contacts. The next question, what does the Q signal QRN mean? QRN means I'm troubled by static. I'm having trouble copying you, there's a lot of static. QRM means there's interference. So remember, N for noise, QRN, N for noise, there's static. Okay. The next question, what does the signal QRV mean? QRV means I'm ready to receive. Particularly if you're doing formal traffic handling, message handling, and forwarding, you might hear QRV by the station that you might send. Are you ready? So someone might send QRV with a question mark, and then they would answer, QRV, without the question mark means they're ready to receive. There are lots of other Q signals that you hear quite commonly that we haven't gone over. I mentioned QRM for interference, like if somebody else starts crowding in on the band, and maybe they can't hear you, they don't know you're there, but if you're talking with somebody else, you may send, hey, QRM, like if someone's talking over the top of us, maybe you want to send QSY, which means let's change frequency. So often you'll send QSY followed by a specific frequency, and people will change frequency to that. QRO means high power. QRP is low power, typically 5 watts or less. QRT means you're quitting. QRZ, every other country it's Z, but in America it's Z, but everybody says QRZ, means who is calling. If you follow it with a question mark, means who's calling me. QSB is signal fading. Maybe the ionosphere is changing and the signal is kind of fading out. You might send that to let the other person know you're having trouble. It's starting to fade. QSO is just a contact on the radio. So when someone says thanks for the QSO, that means they're thanking you for talking with them. And QTH is your location. Now there's other abbreviations used in ham radio. The letters CQ literally mean seek you. I want to talk to somebody. Someone please answer. TU for thank you. OP is operator's name. Of course, RST we've talked about before is the signal report. It stands for readability, strength, and tone. K means you're listening for any station to respond. KN for only a specific station to respond. Most people end their QSOs with 73, which means best wishes. GM means good morning. GA, good afternoon. GE, good evening. You'll hear those from time to time. BK often is back to you. Remember, you're supposed to identify your transmission every 10 minutes. So sometimes if you're going back and forth quickly, you might send something and then BK goes back to the other person. They go back and forth, and then every 10 minutes at minimum you would identify with your call sign. You'll hear YL for young lady. XYL means a wife, and OM for old man. So you'll hear those abbreviations and many more on the air from time to time. The best way to learn those is to just get on the air and start doing CW. You'll get the hang of it fairly quickly. Every once in a while there's some contest going on where somebody's sending CQ and then followed by some letters. And honestly, the best way to learn those is just to look them up, Google it, or look up, search on the internet what do those terms mean, and often they'll pop up. A lot of them are contest-specific acronyms, so you'll learn lots of acronyms as you get on the air and start using CW. So I'd encourage you to do that with your general class. You can get on most of the HF bands and enjoy the CW. Wonderful opportunities there. That's it for this session. Hope you learned a lot and enjoyed. Look forward to seeing you on the next session. This is KE7CR 73.